Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. I just wanted to start letting you know that yesterday was World Smile Day, so I invite you all to take a big smile at something that I don't know if we often do or do enough, but please take a smile with me. Thank you. So, yeah, my name is Andrea Marec, and I'm the CFO and co-founder of Reasoned Art. Today we will talk about digital art, and a word that I'm sure all of you know, which is NFT, what they are, and we will dive a little bit in the world of art, in what it is that we can do with this new technology, and what we think it might happen in the future, and what great opportunities we have. So I want to start with a really, really simple question. What is art? Well, maybe it's not that easy, but we can take a look at some guesses. So is art a painting? Is it sculpture? Or is it an idea of a so-called artist? Is it taking inspiration from others? Doing it during specific times in history? Or is it a live performance? Any performance, any experience? Does it involve movement? Well, we believe that it can be also digital. And it can be made also with the tools at our easiest disposal. It can be animated. Definitely can create some peace, some ease, or something not. It can create anguish. It can definitely create some emotion. And it can also be a gift, an endless loop. So, while the answer can be philosophical and we can spend years arguing about it, for sure, we believe that artists intercept the future, reinterpreting the present. And one of the most important things is to create an emotion, something in the eyes of the one who watch. And we believe that digital art is actually art, and it's actually the most contemporary art. And you should know that digital art started already in the 60s and 70s, where software developers, engineers, technicians tried and started to play around, to invent, to try. And some artists also started to use the technology available at the time. But there has always been a huge problem with digital art, which is how do you support an artist, a digital artist? How do you buy something that is digital? How do you collect something that with Control-C, Control-V, or even just Control-D, anyone can steal, can take from your hard drive? So this is a fundamental question, and this is where the technology of the last few years has a lot of potential. So we will tackle this issue looking at two main entities that can buy, collect, and interact with digital art, which are individual collectors and companies. And we'll study how these two entities have interest with art. So the first one is individual collectors. What an individual collector needs is traceability, uniqueness, and authenticity. Just imagine that half of the entire art in the world is either false or of dubious recognition. So half of the art that is around there, we're not even sure that it's true, that it's original. So one main point is how do you trace? How do you go back in the history of the art piece? Who bought it? When? For how much? Is it the unique piece? If it's a limited edition, how many there are. Is it actually one of the 10, one of the 100? And of course, can I trace it back to the author, to the original author? Another tool, something nice that we would like to have, is also the fact that is universally recognized. What I mean, if you see Van Gogh, a famous painting, how do we know, all of us, that it's the original one? Well, there's some expert that say, this is the true one. This is actually the real one. Why? Because I'm an expert. Simple answer. Well, actually, there's so many of people, of these experts, that do not actually know it, or they make mistakes. There's a really famous case of Modigliani, an Italian painter. Then one of his collections recently was exposed. Well, they discovered that half of it was actually false. And this happens all the time. So an added value is that universally we can all agree that we do not need any specific person, an expert, to recognize the authenticity of an art piece. So these are all traits that new technology allows for digital art to be present. So how did we used to do it? So if back in 2000 you wanted to buy a digital art piece, you would have to buy the hardware on which it was stored. So a VHS, for example, a cassette, a pen drive. And then you would have a paper signed by the artist or the art gallery or whoever was the author, stating that the hardware next to it was true, was the original. You can see how it's easy to misplace one, not connect the two, and I dare you to try to resell it. You know, you find this person that you admire when he's really young, you buy his or her art piece, and then after 10 years, when they became so famous, you want to resell an original artwork. How can you do it? It's impossible. That's also why all of us still think of art like the first picture I showed you. It's just physical. How else can it be? Well, now we can actually have a file that is a software, that is a digital file, and a digital certificate that they are always connected together. And this, of course, is through NFTs. But I can feel right now your question. What the fuck is an NFT? That's a good question. And sadly, the past 2 years has been tremendously important. NFT was the word of the year last year, but still 95% of the world population does not know what it is. Media has a lot of power, but also a lot of misuse in that power. And so I would like to give you just a quick definition. Definition of NFT is just a certificate. It's just a token that is connected to something, which is digital or not, and that certifies the uniqueness. So NFT, and this is something I would like you to take with you when you leave this room and this amazing day, is that NFT is not digital art. That NFT is an innovation, a technology based on blockchain. And how is it? So on one hand, we have a blockchain. I think that you all know what it is, but simply it's a server. So a place, a storage where a lot of data is put. And on that blockchain, we have tokens. One of these can be defined as non-fungible. We'll see what non-fungible means, but the point is that the NFT is in the blockchain. And to that NFT, which is a certificate, we connect a file, where on another server, usually what we define and what we use is the IPFS. So a server, we can say a peer-to-peer network where the actual file is stored. And so while the token can be exchanged on the blockchain, the actual file is free, available to anybody to see, watch, and download even. How could it be different? We are in the era of Google, so what's the point of trying to put in a vault a file when it's on Google, so anyone can reach it? So what's the point of non-fungible? And non-fungible, you always use this metaphor. It's like gold. An ingot of gold can be exchanged for any other. The earrings of your grandmother, it's irreplaceable. Even for another earrings, even made by the same artisan, But even if the weight of the gold on it it's the same, it's non-fungible because it has something that is peculiar, that's unique. And that's the same idea of NFTs. It's the way in which we're able to create uniqueness on a file or anything we attach to it. And this is why and how crypto art began. And crypto art is the recent trend about digital art that uses NFT to certify. And the main concept, and this is an artwork made 3 years ago by Akatao, artistic duo Italian artistic duo, it's exactly encapsulated here. Everybody sees it, but only one owns it. One or a limited number of people, depending if it's a limited edition or not. But this is the key concept of NFT applied to digital art, which are called crypto art. But again, NFTs are not digital art. And this is the main issue that we've seen and that the media has been bombarding us. NFT are an innovation that brought more than 11 billion US dollar in volume in the past 3 years. And it's skyrocketing. And this is the concept that allows any of us to have digital ownership. But digital art, thanks to NFTs, is gaining a lot of momentum too, because now we can finally, as we've seen before with the VHS, collect it, own it, exchange it, support artists, creatives all over the world. And as I'm sure you all know, the highest sale of digital art that happened last March by Beeple for $69 million for one art piece with Christie's, the auction house. So what do we do? Why I'm here talking with you? Because Giulio and I, we co-founded a startup called Reasoned Art. And starting from these, in late 2019, we were really interested in digital art and how the entire art system and art market did not recognize digital art as art. Because again, you cannot buy it, no one talks about it. Why? There's so many creatives. They've been creating art and giving emotions for the past 60 years. Why now the system and the economy does not recognize it as value? And so we placed ourselves, discovering the NFTs and the blockchain technology applied to digital art back in 2019, in the middle spot between traditional art galleries that curate, work really in tight connection with the artist, and the marketplaces. I'm sure you might have heard of OpenSea, which is the biggest NFT platform in the world. Anyone can go up there, upload a file, and create an NFT. But that's like Amazon, a great open sea. It's just a sea of things. Anyone can go there. There's no value creation that is connected to the artist. There's no history. There's no curatorial. There's no way in which an artist can be evolved, helped in their creativity ecosystem. And so that's what we do. And that's how we started. We started selecting and curating artists, digital artists. We organized physical and digital exhibitions. And then we, of course, created our own platform with some technological advantages to sell the digital artwork. So we have now more than 70 artists from all over the world that only do or also do digital art, but we curate only digital art. We expose them. This is an exhibition we had in Rome last July. This is an event we had at Pantheon with international artists from Turkey in March. This is another way in which we exposed and we led digital art to get to the people using digital out of homes. So the maxi screens in the great stations of Rome and Milan, we work with them to have digital art be in the life of everybody. To have an art gallery and art exhibitions where we walk every single day. As you can see, you could select your train or get distracted a little bit and maybe lose it, but learn, discover, and experience new emotions. And we also organized more traditional slides, we can say, more traditional events inside 4 walls, where you can see there's LED walls, projectors, video mapping, prints, all the ways in which digital art and digital files can be exposed. And then we sell them. We allow and we help artists to communicate their creativity, their message, and we create with them NFTs, then certificates, and then we help them to sell them with cryptocurrencies and with fiat, allowing for a truly global market of digital art. And this is mainly for individual collectors. Now let's move to the other type of collectors and people involved and entities involved around digital art, which are companies. Why would companies want to work with artists? We've heard a lot of things today, and I'm sure all of the companies that were present know the importance of communication, but also foundations and collections that a lot of companies have. And this is really important for sure, and it has a history. It has a history because not only like individuals, like before, we might think about the Renaissance or about lords that would support artists. So individuals that were wealthy or less wealthy, because I imagine that a lot of you had posters in their bedroom when they were little children, and that was a form of supporting artists and creators. Well, companies do the same for communication, but also just to give back to the community. One example, really famous, is De Pero and Campari. Campari, it's an Italian but global brand, and in the 30s worked in tight connection with De Pero, an artist, a really famous Italian artist, in communicating, designing also the bottle, so creating a strong connection also in the brand. And that's something that happened to us. So since we started the company in last year, in January of 2021, brands contacted us to work with our digital artists in general, and in the innovations that we're working with. One example here is an artwork made by Filippo Ghisleri for Adidas Original. Adidas asked us to have artists think and reinterpret the last 50 years of the Adidas Original and imagine the next 50 years. Pasquavini, an Italian winemaker, asked us to work with an Italian artist called Fuse, that they create a specific, location-specific artwork using live Twitter data. So the artwork would analyze Twitter globally for 1 minute, 60 seconds. They would analyze all the tweets that would happen, assign with AI the emotion, analyze the emotion that the tweet would transmit, locate out of 6 emotions each color, and then the artwork that was exposed in real life in the same time that we will see right now, it was a generative artwork made with the live expression, live feeling of, we can say, a large share of the world. And this was exposed in Verona this April. So brands have a lot of ways in which they want to interact with artists, not only for the technology, but how also NFTs and certificates can work. For example, Bulgari, we collaborated with them and with another Italian artist called Blade Runway. Bulgari started with a hand-draw draft of one of their high-end jewelry. From that, which is the jewel Magnifica, our artists recreated a digital artwork. That artwork was then transformed in a 50 limited edition NFT that was gifted by Bulgari to their VIP clients and guests. As you can see, the type of art is completely different. You move from video mapping, AI, to 3D models. And so where do we go next? As I told you, we started with analyzing art and digital art. We brought to an NFT marketplace with some specs and some focus specific on curators. Then we moved and we started to evolve our company with the need of brands and how they wanted to interact and how they want to value artists. The third step for us, and where now we're focusing also our energy, is in connecting all three. So we created a project that's called Moniverse, where we want to start with an art installation, a digital art installation on a historical monument that is physical, present, and is a real-life event. We build then a VR experience that can be put also on any metaverse you want to have the same experience forever in the future, free to everybody to have, and to see from all over the world. So even if you were not there in those 3 days the event happened, or if you just want to relive without having all the installation. And we build a community around that VR experience and that multisensorial experience. And then we create digital experiences, a capsule of that 3D model and VR experience that we are able to sell. And these, of course, has huge impact. So just to give you a sense, this is the real-life event that happened this year. This was in Milan, around New Year's Eve, for 3 days. You saw nobody around because there was COVID, so there was no restriction. So this was a live event that was live streamed all across Italy and the world. And so this is the first step of what we call Moniverse, a live event, and that we did again at Pantheon in Rome, we did in Verona. The second step is the VR experience. This is just a super alpha idea to give you a sense of the reproduction of what can be done. And then the third thing is the NFT. So using the 3D model with the authorization and support of the comune, of the municipality, of the state and the Ministry of Cultures to create the event and to organize everything, we were able to create these NFTs that will be sold. And of course, part of the revenue will be given back to the country to support renovation and work on the monument that the 3D model is based upon. So our goals are clear. So enhance culture heritage through digital art. In what we define, what we use Luciano Floridi's, which is a philosopher from Oxford's idea of on life, truly using and connecting physical and digital and innovation tradition. They might seem dull words that have been heard and reheard, but we truly live by that way and truly believe that we can physically make this type of connections. The second goal for us is to promote virtual tourism and engage new generations. Old does not mean boring. Digital does not mean that it cannot support physical and culture. And the third thing, of course, is a new revenue model for institutions. In Italy, but like in any other country, culture and physicals are doomed to have problems, to decay, to be destroyed by time and by human nature. These type of activities using digital art can immobilize and allow for, again, new ways in which we can intervene. So I would like to close this talk and this dive on how technology can support art and creators all over the world that use the tools that are most present for us, with this quote by futurist Vito Di Bari, which says that the future is like a feline on the hunt. Imagine a tiger or gepard, in the savannah, slowly walking towards the prey. It goes near it, it crouches, waits for the right moment, and then just jumps right away. And these are a lot of things that happened for COVID. We found ourselves in a situation where we had to change. Everybody had to change. Everything changed. So we should really try to embrace experimentation. And if you're a creator and a creative, go ahead. And if you're not like I am, well, then my wish is that for all of you to create a better system where creators can actually create and be free to do it so, because they can see something that maybe we cannot yet. And that's also what I want to tell you. Digital ownership as a concept already is here. We just don't see it yet. So thank you very much for your time.
Truly impressive. Let's see if I can ignore a few more questions. Over there. There are none.
Thank you. So a couple of questions for me. As an engineer, I strongly believe that we need solutions where there are actual problems. So I would like to ask you, as a first question, what is the problem that NFTs are solving that could not be solved with the technology that we had before NFTs? The second question would be how NFTs can be decentralized if there's always a unique platform where you can trade such NFTs. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the questions. Really good questions. So first of all, NFTs, so how they can solve a problem that there was. Well, the problems, as I stated before, is about connecting the ownership. So how can I give economic value to something that anyone can use? That's how NFTs can solve it, because there's only one recognized by an entire ecosystem that is the owner of that token. So that has the rights connected to it. For example, if you have a painting, you might be the owner, but you can put it in a vault. So there's actually a difference between possess and ownership, which is usually a legal definition, a legal difference. If I have your painting, I possess it, but you are the owner. You have rights even if I have it with me, and I have the rights and the power to destroy it. For a digital file, if you're the owner, but I possess it, what can you do? Nothing. And how can you prove that you are the actual owner while I'm not? I can destroy it, I can duplicate. So NFTs, since they are on a blockchain that is decentralized, and so everybody can prove that you're the actual owner, I cannot sell it, even if I have the file. That's the first question. I hope it helps you. If not, afterwards we can go dive. The second question is the fact that our platform, like any other, and this is of course evolution, relies on the blockchain underneath. So, as the beginning, for the past 2 years, the platform was the interface where you could connect to smart contracts on the blockchain afterward. Now, and more is going on, the smart contracts and the evolution of the platforms are just an interface, but the blockchain underneath are all connected. So you can come to reasondart.com and buy an NFT, but you can buy it also on OpenSea. You can buy it also on Rarible. And the same thing happens for SuperRare. If you go to SuperRare, that NFT sale happens also on other single blockchain, because the evolution, but that's again the time of evolution, innovation, interface on it. Thank you again for your question.
Yeah, we have time for one more.
Okay, hello. Yeah, really interesting presentation. Thank you for that. My question is, well, we know that AI and AI-generated art is already being sold, and there's always the question of ownership and also who created this art. So how does NFTs and how does your company handle and tackle that topic?
That's a really good point. So AI is it's such a big technology. And of course, there's many interpretations. The artwork that I showed you use AI as part of the creative process. So it's not only put a word and then the outcome comes, okay? And then there's a lot of legal questions, and that's also one of the fun part for me. Honestly, I have to say I'm less creative in our company, because I have fun with lawyers to understand how is that art piece and that specific, which rights are connected. How important is the engineers that work in the AI algorithm in the creation of the entire art piece? And that's topics that I mean, as of now, some people can understand and see forward where the issue will be and how we can traverse and how can we apply it to the legal frameworks that it's now available. But when this technology will be much more mainstream, that issues will be much more present. So the answer I can give you is that time will tell, like always, but the more human, so hand put on top of the AI, the more the stronger it is, defensible it is in front of any legal claim that is actually the art piece. Thank you.
One more, but then it's coffee time.
Okay. First, sorry for my voice, it's gone, but I'll try my best. First, thank you so much for this talk. I've been interested in knowing a lot on NFTs, and you summarized it all in 20 minutes, and it's amazing.
Thank you.
I just want to ask, as a designer, since someone else said as an engineer, I would like to know, how do you value the artist and how do you capture this value? So as you said, OpenSea shows artists like Amazon, right? You can just drop anything there. So how do you choose your artists and how do you value them?
That's a really good question. And it's a question that you can ask to anything, anybody, and any person in the art world. This type of question, it's not different from going to an art gallery, a physical art gallery, or an Accademia di Belle Arti, or any type of institution, to the MoMA. You can go to the MoMA in New York and ask, why did you choose this painting? Why did you choose that artist? So there's an entire system. When before I said the art market and the art system, in the art system, I include curators, critics, lawyers, passionate collectors, institutions, all entities that work in the art system. And over the years, and these things are always evolving, but they codified ways in which they can claim to say that you're an artist and he is a designer, or you're creative and someone else is not. So on that end, for us in Recent Art, we have the biggest team is our curators team. So we have experts of art. Even my co-founder, he was a student of cultural heritage. So he was really interested on studying why some artists yes and others not. And the whole point started on like, there's so many artists, there's so many creators on Instagram, on all these social medias. They have tens of thousands of followers and no one recognizes them in the art system. Why is that? So it's not that there's a meritocracy or an open sea, but the fact that it's codes that have been empirically proven or just it's the meta, and we want to apply those to digital art. And the more digital art is bought, the more this meta will evolve. Because again, how AI is impactful. Are you a better artist than me just because you use AI or I use hand-drawn on an iPad? Again, these are all questions, and we can spend years arguing about that. Again, sadly, the market and how much recognition and fame you have has always an impact. But that's also why we want to help those who interface and start to be interested in digital art, especially collectors of contemporary art, to understand why that digital artist and not someone else that, sadly a lot of people are like, oh, he just does sketches on the free time. So, but it's again the same question as physical art. Thank you very much.
Thank you.